Hello. When setting up a new application and a new GitHub repository, there are a lot of steps that you need to consider. For example, setting up your test suite, RuboCop, Erblint, setting up the GitHub repository not to accept direct pushes to the main branch and accept only pull requests, and set up GitHub Actions so that pull requests cannot be merged without a few checks passing. Now, there is a common thing that has been a buzzword in the recent years, CI/CD, and it is continuous integration and continuous deployment or delivery. And particularly, we're going to add continuous integration for testing, so that whenever you push and you commit to a pull request in GitHub, a few checks are going to be done, and you'll see the results, whether the tests were successful or they were failing. And this way, all the people that are working on a repository can know whether a specific pull request would break the test suite. And obviously, you don't want to merge a pull request that breaks the test suite. So all the pull requests should not break the tests. Now, let's start from the very beginning. We are going to create a new GitHub repository. So let's go and create a new repository. Okay, let's name it CI/CD. Okay, public. I will refresh the page. Okay, let it be like this. And I'm going to create a new Rails application. So I will say Rails new CI/CD-A, database will be Postgres, and the CSS will be Tailwind. Let's create the new Rails application. Let's navigate to the application and start the server bin/dev. Let's go to localhost and create a database. Okay, so we are on Rails. Let's save our changes. I will say git add all, git commit main, create app, and let's push to GitHub. So I will just copy the script from GitHub. I will refresh, and now we have pushed our first commit to GitHub. Okay, now let's add some basic settings to our application. So I'm going to settings and branch protection, and I will add a rule. It's going to be for the main branch, and we are going to say that we will require a pull request before merging. And usually you would want to require approvals if you are working more than one person on the application. Okay, let's say we will require approvals for now, and let's create this rule. Okay. And now, in theory, you should not be able to push anything directly to the main branch, only through a pull request. So let's add some basic pages. Let's add the landing page to our application and do it via a pull request. So I will say git checkout branch landing page. So I've created a new branch named landing page, and let's generate a landing page. Rails generate controller. Static pages is the name of the controller, and we'll have a page named landing page. And let's also add a pricing page, just to have a few pages. Okay, and it has generated static pages /landing page /pricing, and it has also generated a test file. Let's start the server bin dev, and let's navigate to /static pages. Landing page, it works, and pricing also works. Okay, let's save our changes and push git add all, git commit main, generate static pages controller. Okay, now let's change the roots for these pages. But first, okay, let's run the test. Let's say Rails test. And you see the tests have passed. And what are we actually testing? Let's see what we are testing. I will open this repository. And what tests do we have? So I will go to test, controller, static pages controller. So we are running these two tests here, and they are successful. Okay, now let's change the paths for our landing page and pricing for it to be without all these slash static pages, just slash pricing, and the root path is going to be to the landing page. So I will go to our roots, and here I will say root static pages landing page, and get pricing to static pages pricing. So get slash pricing to controller name static pages action name pricing. Okay, let's see if it works. I will go to bin dev once again, starting the server. The previous URL doesn't work. I'm going to pricing, it works. I go to the root path and it displays the landing page. Okay, now let us rerun the tests. Rails test. And you see the tests are failing because the previous URLs don't exist anymore. So let us update our tests accordingly. I will say get root URL here, and here I will say get pricing URL. So I have updated the URLs in our tests and it is passing. Okay, now let's also try adding some kind of not only controller tests but system tests. So to do this, I will say Rails generate system test, and let's name it static pages. And it must have created a new file here, system static pages test, and it gave us an example. So visit some kind of URL and assert something. So let's actually visit the root URL and assert text to have what do we have on the landing page. Let's go to landing page. We expect to have the landing page text. So assert text landing page, or assert select h1 static pages landing page. Let's actually try to assert the select h1. I will say Rails test system, and you see it kind of opened a virtual browser and ran the test. So it works. Let's make a similar test for our pricing page. I will say so this is visit root and visit pricing. So visit pricing URL, and let's assert text pricing. Just like this. Rails system test. And the system tests are also successful. So let's see the changes that we did. We have updated the URLs, we have updated the static pages controller test, and we have added a system test. Let's save our changes. Git add all, git commit main, update roots, add system tests. Okay, now let's try to push to GitHub. Git push. Okay, git push set upstream origin. And let's navigate to our GitHub repository. So I refresh, and it has a new pull request. I will go to compare, and let's say add static pages, controller, landing page, and pricing page. Okay, let's create the pull request. And here you can see by default GitHub has one check that has passed. Let's have a look at this check. It is Git Guardian that has been added by GitHub by default. So if you want, you can disable Git Guardian, but you don't really have to. Now, it is not the test that I actually want to run. I want all the other people who are looking at this pull request to know that my system tests are passing successfully. So I would want to add this kind of GitHub action here, and each time I create a pull request or I push a commit to this pull request, I want the tests, so this test that I just ran by Rails test and Rails test system, to run on GitHub and for GitHub to say whether these tests have been successful. This is the kind of continuous integration for tests that we are going to add here. Now, how can we add this kind of continuous integration? Well, we can do it by adding a GitHub folder inside our application, and in GitHub we are going to have a workflows folder, and inside we are going to have a script that GitHub is going to recognize and that GitHub is going to run each time something has changed in our pull request. So I'm going to go and say make directory .github, and you see here is a new directory .github, and let's create .github/workflows. And it created a new directory in GitHub named workflows. And inside we will add a new file named test.yml. So, or tests.yml, it doesn't really matter. And inside we need to add some kind of script. Now, I really don't remember the scripts by heart, and I don't know anybody who would really remember them. I'm going to copy them from another place where I've saved them. Here is an article that I wrote about adding all these kind of tests. And in the end there is a script. We will also run through the script now, so don't worry, it's not really like black magic. Yeah, it actually has to start with a dot here. So it's going to be .test.yml, and let's have a look at the script. So it's just the name, like continuous integration. So whenever there is a pull request, let's actually say just on pull request. And it will include whenever a pull request is created and whenever new commits are pushed to a pull request. And we are going to run some jobs. So we are going to install Ubuntu, we are going to install Ruby on Rails, and we are going to add PostgreSQL. So we've got a port for PostgreSQL, we've got a Postgres user, Postgres password. Let's open our database YML, and here there's really nothing important. So yeah, nothing important. So we've added PostgreSQL, we are adding Redis. Now, most likely, if you've started a Ruby on Rails 7 application, you will have Redis ready to use by default. And if you're using TurboStream broadcasts, you will definitely need Redis. And here are all the steps that we are running. So most importantly, here's a database URL. The name of the database doesn't matter much, so you can have anything here, just the port matters. And here you're going to have your Rails master key. So the application will most likely not run some of the tests if you don't have a valid Rails master key. And here are the tests themselves. So we're going to create the database. This can fail. We're going to load the schema. This can also fail. And here, again, most importantly, we're going to run the tests and the system tests. In this example, I'm running them separately. And at any point of this workflow, it can fail, and GitHub is going to give us a failure. The failure is going to be either because our file has some kind of mistakes, or because it actually failed some tests in our application. So let's try adding this file and see if it works. I will say git status and git add all, git commit main, not main but message, add the GitHub CI script, git push. Okay, let's go back to our PR and refresh. Okay, still one check. And you see now I've refreshed, and actually you see it's not just Git Guardian, we've got our script that is trying to run. So we have successfully communicated to GitHub Actions that we want to run some kind of script. And you see, I'm refreshing once again, and well, it has failed. Why has it failed? Let's have a look at the script. So, failed to bundle. Okay, this message doesn't tell me much. Let's rerun all the jobs and see if it works this time. Usually you set up this kind of thing once on the beginning of your workflow, and it will work for a long time very smoothly for you and your team. So it's worth investing the time into setting up this kind of CI. Okay, it says failing once again. Let's try to see what can be the issue. Yeah, so actually the problem is quite simple. If we go to the logs, here we've got bundle install, and it says that we have to add bundle log Linux. So let's do this. Bundle log add platform Linux. Get status. So it has added the platform Linux to our gem file log. Here it is in Nokogiri. Here also for Tailwind, and here platform Linux x86. Okay, git add all, git commit main, add the platform, and git push. Let's see if the CI works this time. Again, most likely it will not. Why? Because now I expect that there will be an error with the GitHub Actions application not being able to read our master key. Let's try to go and editor vim Rails credentials edit. So here we have our master key, our credentials that are decrypted by the master key. So we need to provide this master key to GitHub for it to be able to read the secret key base, for example. So quit, and in the meantime we can add our master key to GitHub. How can we do it? I will go to settings, go to secrets, actions. So I'm going to add a new repository secret, and I will name it Rails master key. This is the name that you should use. And here I'm going to add the secret. So my master key that was generated when I created the application that is used to decrypt this credentials YML file. I'm adding it to settings, secrets, actions as Rails master key, like this. And in the CI here, I'm going to also say that we'll have an environment variable Rails master key, and GitHub knows to read it from secrets.Rails master key. So actually, if I named it anyway else, GitHub would look for another name here. If I named it just ABC, and here I said secrets.abc, GitHub would look for the ABC named repository secret here. Anyway, here I'm going to have Rails master key, and here also. And let's just see whether our CI has already failed or not. And then I'm going to commit these changes of adding the Rails master key to our test.yml. Okay, let's see what exactly failed. So we go to run tests, and the schema doesn't exist yet. Okay, so maybe we didn't even run RailsDB migrate on the previous iteration of the application. So let's say RailsDB migrate, get status. Yeah, we haven't even added a schema. So let's say git add schema, get status, git commit main, add schema.rb. Now this particular thing doesn't have to fail, but let's also add the GitHub Workflows test.yml update where we add the secrets Rails master key. So git add all, git commit main, add the Rails master key, and git push. And now I will actually expect all the tests to pass successfully. So let's refresh, and it has started with the tests. In the meantime, let's go to the settings of the repository, and I will add some more branch restrictions. So I will go to our branches, edit the branch protection rules, and I will say that we will require the status checks to pass before merging. So we will not allow to merge branches that don't have a successful test completion. So I will add it for the test action. And well, we can also add it for install cache, but test can't even start without install cache, so we don't have to do that. So yeah, we're adding for the test action. Let's save our changes. And let's go back. And now we have already two requirements. We have a requirement of somebody to approve our changes, and also a requirement for the test to pass. So let's wait for the test to pass. Let's even open the details and see how they are progressing. So we've installed all the dependencies, it's all successful. Now it's trying to run the tests. It's been doing it for 30 seconds. Now the longest test suite that I've actually worked with on a real Rails application was running for around 27 minutes. I expect this one to run like under a minute or so. Let's refresh and see whether it has passed or not. In the meantime, we can already start doing the next thing. We can think of adding some code linting. We want to add RuboCop for it to format our code, and we'll also add an action for RuboCop to check whether all the code is formatted correctly when we push anything. So we're going to have not only a spec check, but also a code style check that will be added by RuboCop, and we'll add a separate action to check the linting with RuboCop. Now, it has been running for a really long time. I wonder why it's taken so long to run the tests. And I'm not sure why I can't open it. Let's cancel the workflow. And maybe okay, it doesn't seem to be canceling. Okay, let's have a look. So I will try to rerun the jobs. Now, what happened? Okay, so it says Chrome failed to start. Okay, that is actually a very important thing that we should have taken into consideration. So here we have our system tests, and we are using Chrome, and Chrome failed to start because, well, it's trying to actually open the browser, but it can't open a real browser in the test suite. So we will need to use a Headless Chrome. Headless Chrome. Okay, git status, git add all, git commit main, use Headless Chrome, git push. It's good that we stopped our test suite and then actually wait for 10 minutes, but we saw that it's running for too long, so we stopped the suite and checked what was taking so long. And now I do finally expect the test suite to run successfully. Let me actually open the progress of the CI and see if it's been successful. Will it show me anything? So yes, the tests have to seem gone successfully. Then it ran the seeds, and it looks like it successfully ran all our tests. So let's have a look back. And you see all the checks have passed. So looks good. And now we can actually merge the branch. Now, there is nobody to approve our branch, so we will have to merge it on our own. And we're going to merge it with a... Now, should we use a squash and merge? Usually, yes, but in this particular case, we're going to... Yeah, we are actually going to use a squash and merge. This is usually the best practice. So I will say squash and merge. And delete branch. Let's have a look at our main branch. And here we have two commits. So the initial commit, and then we have our pull request. And if we open the pull request, you can see all the history of the commits for this pull request. Okay, so looks good. We have added our tests and we have added our tests to GitHub Actions. Now let's add some RuboCop tests. So let's check out to main. And let's pull from remote because we have some changes from the pull request that we merged. And let's add RuboCop. Now on my blog I also have an article for adding RuboCop and CI for it. So I'm going to take gem RuboCop Rails. You don't have to actually add the gem RuboCop and the gem RuboCop Rails separately because gem RuboCop is a dependent of gem RuboCop Rails. So I will say bundle. Now, yeah, I'm going to create a RuboCop YML file. And let's open the RuboCop YML file, rubocop.yml. And here is a basic setup that I usually use. So some files that I don't want RuboCop to check, the ones that are, well, not maintained usually by you, or the ones that are automatically generated like the schema.rb, and some copies that I also don't use on a regular basis. And now let's run RuboCop and see the checks. Bundle execute RuboCop. Let's see the RuboCop warnings. So it has 43 auto-correctable warnings. Let's try to push it to a new branch as is. So git checkout, branch, add RuboCop. Git status, okay. Let's say git add all, git commit main, add RuboCop gem. Okay, and let's add the CI for RuboCop. So here on the bottom I've also got a script for RuboCop CI, and let's add it to GitHub workflows, and I will say .rubocop.yml. Or it can be actually not only RuboCop but also like Erb Linting if we want. But for now let's say just RuboCop. So on pull request run code styling, and we're going to run bundle execute RuboCop parallel. Let's try running the same command locally. You see, it just runs all the checks. So let's add the CI and see if the CI works on a branch when we push to GitHub. Git add all, git commit main, add the GitHub workflow for RuboCop. Git push. Okay, let's go to our branches. And we have a new branch. Let's create a pull request. And I've created a pull request. And already it knows that we're running the CI for the testing. And also you see there is a new action here, code style. So code style all linters. And this one is going to run RuboCop and say if we have any RuboCop offenses. And let's also add all linters to our settings for our branch protection. So we will not allow anything that has RuboCop offenses to be pushed into our main branch. Now did it work or not? Let's see. So let's say RuboCop. Now it doesn't seem to find it. Let's try once again. So all linters or code style, let's say code. So we have all linters. Okay, let's save our changes. And let's see. So our test should pass, but our RuboCop should not pass. Let's have a look at the details. And you see, we have all these problems. So let's autocorrect them and see. Let's say bundle exec RuboCop autocorrect. And it autocorrected all these offenses. So let's say git status, git add all, git commit message, RuboCop autocorrect. So now I expect to have no RuboCop offenses locally. There are no RuboCop offenses, so now the CI shouldn't give us any problems when running this GitHub action. And our CI for tests has passed, so now when I push, all our tests should pass and we should be able to push to the main branch. So again, I have pushed our latest changes to GitHub, RuboCop autocorrect, and you see it's running all the tests once again. And now I expect all the tests to succeed and we will be able to push to our main branch. Finally, as we've added RuboCop, usually I also add another check, Erb Linting. So it is a library that was developed by Shopify that allows you to ensure that all your Erb files are working to some kind of standard. So let's also add this gem and add it to our RuboCop linting. Actually, in this example GitHub workflow, I also add the Erb linting as an example next to RuboCop. So again, I'm going to add the gem Erb linting next to RuboCop Rails, run bundle. Next, I'm going to create an erblint.yml file where we're going to say what our linting parameters should be. So echo erblint.yml. Okay, I should say echo like this. So it has created erblint.yml, and let's add some default config. In the meantime, let's have a look. You see all our tests have passed and looks good. Let's run erblint. So let's say bundle execute erblint lint all. Usually this takes longer than running RuboCop. It says that we have 7 offenses. So let's merge it first of all as is. Let's say git add all, git commit message, add erblint. Now we will add the erblint actions to our CI. So here it is going to be not just .RuboCop, but .lint, because we have not only RuboCop here. And in the action names we will have RuboCop and we'll have Erb linting. And we're going to have 2 checks here. So git status, git add all, git commit message, add the Erb lint check. And for this check to succeed, for us not to have all these linting errors, let's autocorrect them locally. So how do we do it? We will say bundle execute Erb lint all autocorrect, or here's the shorter version. So bundle execute Erb lint all. It has linted the Erb, and let's say git add all, git commit main, run Erb lint autocorrect. And that is it. So now we've created a new repository, we've added our tests, we've added RuboCop, we've added Erb linting, and each time when you create a new pull request, it is going to check the code style for RuboCop, for Erb, and it is going to run all the tests and ensure that when you merge something into your main branch, it doesn't break anything. Okay, let's see. The code style was broken. Okay, so prefer single quoted strings when you don't need interpolation. Okay, so by adding the gem Erb lint, I actually broke RuboCop. Interesting. So let's run RuboCop autocorrect once again. And git add all, git commit main, rerun RuboCop, and git push. Okay, so now I expect all the tests to definitely pass. And well, that's about it. Quite a lot of setup, but you do it just once for your repository and it sets you up for a long way to go. So thanks for bearing with me and goodbye.